Question: is common sense that common? Before we answer this question and we provide a solution, I would like to speak about the context that made me actually talk about this subject and make a video for it. Last 2 weeks, I got at least 4 encounters with 4 different people, colleagues of mine, that referred to this expression that common sense is not that common. The expression was used as a form of frustration as a result of either meetings, either expectation that weren't met in problem solving, either of a reciprocity that wasn't returned, and also help that wasn't offered, although it was expected as a common sense courtesy for some issues. All these events made me curious on what is the meaning to the term common sense, so I looked up some definitions. Lo and behold, I actually discovered that we even have a legal definition for the term. Common sense is when a person possesses those perceptions, association, and judgments in relation to persons and things which agree with those of the generality of mankind. He or she is said to possess common sense. Now, we have also a reverse of the common sense, which is on the contrary, when a particular individual differs from the generality of persons in these respects, he or she is said not to have common sense or not to be in his senses. That's the actual definition that I found in the medical journal actually, but it's a legal definition. I also looked up some dictionary definitions and I found a few. One is from the Merriam-Webster dictionary. The definition of common sense is defined as sound and prudent judgment based on simple perception of situation or facts. Another definition in the Cambridge dictionary, it's the basic level of practical knowledge and judgment that we all need to help us live in a reasonable and safe way. I looked up also Wikipedia. And common sense, or for just use as sense, is a sound, practical judgment concerning everyday matters, a basic ability to perceive, understand, and judge in a matter that is shared, i.e. common to nearly all the people. So the key item there is nearly all the people. So I actually was surprised to discover that the term of common sense, it was actually researched comprehensively in history, starting from Aristotle with the old Greeks. Aristotle was thinking that the common sense is something that is a perception of all the 5 senses from humans or animals that are identifying actually the movement and the size and all physical things around us. That Aristotle actually was thinking that the common sense is distinct from the basic sensory perception and human rational thought, but is actually complements both of them. So he had the notion that common sense is more based on the soul or on the heart. And if you go in history, probably another contribution was done by Descartes. Descartes, it was the parent of logical and deductive thoughts, and he was saying that it's more of a brain function than a soul function, but he wouldn't actually exclude the soul out of it as well. So what's common sense in the end? So common sense, it's a basic level of practical knowledge and judgment that we all need to help us live in a reasonable way and also safe way. Now, okay, so I would say that common sense, well, what about then common knowledge? What's the difference between common knowledge and common sense? Just to confuse us even more, we have another term which is called common knowledge. So what is the definition of common knowledge? Common knowledge is a type of knowledge that is known by everyone or nearly everyone, usually in reference to the community in which the term is used. Common knowledge can be about a broad range of subjects such as science, literature, history and entertainment or pop culture. An example could be the fact that the water freezes below 0 degrees and boils above 100 degrees. One of the common knowledge things actually happened to me, I think a few weeks ago, when I was talking about Fred Astaire, and some younger generations were looking at me like they don't understand what I'm talking about. maybe I become a little bit older, because that was common knowledge to Generation X and baby boomers and so on. So we talked about common sense, we talked about common knowledge, we talked about differences between the two. And now getting back to the main topic of this video, which was about the fact that I had a few people telling me that common sense is not that common. I think as a solution, that goes back to the expectations that we have about people knowing what common sense is. And in general, when it comes to reciprocity of services, and you're trying to do your best to help some other people, I think the best example that I can give from personal experience, it was the fact that sometimes I would help a lot of people, but whenever they were their turn in my common sense to help me, they were either busy, either they couldn't do it, either they didn't have the resources, or they have a headache. And I was terribly frustrated. So I think a solution is something called agreed common sense, whereby if somebody comes for help from you, this is just in the topic of help, you can say, okay, not a problem, I help you, but next month or next week I have a project that I need some help from you. Can you be available for that at that time? And you will see that the perception is a little bit different, because the expectation already put out there and it's out loudly in the ether, and the person can say yes or no, or at least has the knowledge that based on your common sense you expect that. I hope this helped as a solution. Please comment in the comments at the bottom if you have any examples in which common sense wasn't that common, and also about common knowledge as such. And until next time, stay strong and be well. Thank you.